What's up, everybody? This is Dell. Welcome to Dell on Movies. And tonight we have a special episode. This is not quite a full blown movie swap. This is a side swap, meaning my guest and I, we're going to focus on one movie for the most part and do a deep dive. Maybe not a complete deep dive into that, but we have reason to be talking about this one particular movie. My guest has been on the channel a couple times before. He's got his own YouTube channel, and just a bit of a warning for everybody who is out there. This movie means a lot to him. We spoke a little bit, a tiny bit about it backstage. So just it could get emotional. It could not be. We could just be laughing it up, having a great time, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to bring him on, and he is the Monkey. What's going on, Mr. Monkey?
Hey, um, I want to say it was a very interesting surprise how you advertised this live stream by putting Wednesday Adams as the focal point of the image because hold on.
I'm gonna go big on the screen so I can read that there. Ah, very cool, very cool.
Mhm.
So as um as a lot of people know, if you've watched this channel before, then you know that I am a school teacher, and it so happens today that I saw several girls walking around with Wednesday Adams paraphernalia on.
Hmm.
I saw a hoodie, I saw a hat, I think as a matter of fact, I think yeah, a t-shirt. So we Wednesday's quite popular here lately. So she is definitely got selling a lot of merch these days.
The clip that keeps popping up on my feed happens to be the one where they have the where it's Christina Ricci, and she is giving the whole speech about she sent the guy out to go get her, and then she's like, "I never made it to the station." They always they're for the last few days they keep showing that one clip, but
Hmm.
yeah, but but yeah, but it's also possible that people are just really looking forward to season two.
Yes, I'm one of those people. I really did enjoy season one. Did you watch it? Or I'm sure you watched it. Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I own the poster. Yes, I loved it so much. But I will say, um, I will. I, I would love to know your opinion. Is your favorite version of that song the the one that is always in the clips of her dancing? Is it the um because you know it's not the official song, but not official song, but I'm saying they speed it up, whereas
Hmm.
the original song is the Lady Gaga,
Hmm.
the Bloody Mary. So, do you prefer the original version of Bloody Mary, or do you prefer the sped up version?
I'm gonna have to say that I would have to listen to the Lady Gaga version again.
Oh,
I will
okay.
say this. Uh, I will say this. Whenever I think of this show, automatically in my head, the original theme song from the TV series pops in. Exactly the way it's played there, not any variations
Hmm.
of it. So
Yeah.
and I'm an old man, so that's been
No.
with me for years.
Mhm. That's actually a great segue. Have you noticed that at the end of every single one of my reviews, I always did that theme song?
Yes, yes, I did. We're gonna get into that, but before we get into that movie, which is the main event here, we were having an interesting conversation about Night of the Living Dead uh,
Hmm.
uh, before we came on, and you had reason. You watched that movie recently, and I think from my understanding, it was the first time since you were really young. Is that fair?
Hmm.
Okay, and just you pose an interesting scenario to me about the end of the movie. It's a bit of a spoiler for anybody who's never seen Night of the Living Dead. At the end of the movie, our main character is actually shot by the police who show up, and you know, due to the time it was made in the '60s, and the race of the main character and the events surrounding everything, that moment in film is pretty iconic and important. But you suggested an alternate version, not an alternate version, but an alternate reasoning, I guess, for what happened. I'm gonna let you take it away from there.
Well, before they like at the end when when everything's kind of like when the news crew meets up again with the police chief, the police chief notices that after all that work that he's been doing, the interview person has coffee on him. And he asks him, and the interviewer says, "Oh, a fan of the station gave me this coffee." Well, back in that day, most of the coffee that was made was caffeinated. So this guy had just had one of the worst days of his life, happened to probably happened to run and walk more than his entire career on the job, and he basically is given the thing of caffeine, and that's right before the 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 African American hears the dogs because he tells them there's a house over there. And by the time he tells them that he hasn't drinking the coffee yet. He's only like taking a sip. So by the time he's dealing with him, the caffeine is just coursing through his system. And like I said, I don't know about you, but if you've went through the entire day just really running and running and running, doing like a whole bunch of work, and then you introduce caffeine into your system, you're not really thinking the clearest. You instinct, you go on autopilot as it's getting into your system. And so I proposed that he could have just been so into the caffeination that he just instinctively, like he had spent all this day like dealing with all the others, that he just saw this one that was tired, really in bad shape, and he just instinctively, the caffeine got him just to just like
Fair enough. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. But before I go any further, I'm gonna say what's up to Adrian James, who's here. He says, "Hey there, fellas. What's going on, Adrian? Thanks for being here." Um, I'm gonna say this. Uh, I want people who watch this video, if anybody is in, if you're in the chat now, I know Adrian is watching. Um, Let me know what you think of that idea, of that idea that it was caffeine that kind of caused a quick reaction to seeing someone coming out of the house, an overly quick reaction, I should say. And if you're watching this later on down the line after the fact, yeah, you can put it down in the comment section. I just think it's interesting because people watch movies differently. Everybody doesn't get the same thing out of a movie, and that is what makes art interesting. So you and I can watch the same movie and draw two different conclusions, and neither one is necessarily wrong, right? It's basically your interpretation, my interpretation, and that is one of the great things
um,
about movies in general.
art is subjective.
Exactly. Exactly. It is definitely subjective. This is how people. Uh, One person thinks a movie's great, and somebody else thinks it's the worst thing ever. Um, every movie is somebody's favorite, and every movie is hated by somebody. It's just a fact. No matter what the movie is, or no matter how many people think it is just the best or the worst.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Um, Now I have a question, and it's about that movie you were just talking about.
Sure.
One of the original posters has the naked women on it, by seeing her from the back. That's on one of the original posters. My question is, do you think that how conservative Abby was at the time, do you think that it was just something that drew everybody in? Or do you think it just was they, because when you watch the scene, it's only there for like a second, and then again towards the end of the film, like for a second, like there's not a lot of nudity. You just see her from behind walking towards the camera. So I'm just wondering, do you think that that was a promotional thing where they were thinking, well, not many people are going to want to see this, it hasn't been done before. Well, I know what we'll do, we'll shove a naked lady in there for a second or two.
That's quite possible. I mean, it's a really low budget movie, a really, independent film. So you've got to try to get people in there any way you can. So I wouldn't put it past them. I've never heard that that's the case, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, movie posters have been known to have all sorts of things on them just to get people in to see it, right?
Well, um the the well, speaking of things that get people to watch movies, I don't know if I may show this, but there's one movie that I loved so much because of the actor. But and I took a chance on it because every other film was like it, that he was in. I trusted that his filmography would be appropriate and good. But out of all the ones to get on 4K, can I show you what movie totally floored me emotionally?
Sure.
You know my past, so this,
Oh, The Searchers, yeah, yeah.
what it's about and what happens to the surviving female. I mean, I was so emotional. I was a mess.
A lot
So
of
I,
people were watching The Searchers, yeah.
uh, but yeah, so I'm just saying I had trusted that it was going to be just like a good western, but then the context and everything in it, I was like, oh man, this hits way too close to home. But but that thing with the John Wayne film, when you watch it, you're like, but it's John Wayne, I gotta finish it.
Hmm.
But sorry, it went off track a little. Just you were talking about things they put in uh, films to get people to watch it, and it popped
Yeah,
in my head that that with John Wayne, if it's going to be a horrific story, getting people to see it, having John Wayne in it is the way to go.
yeah. I mean, he was the leading Hollywood star for quite a while. So yeah, that definitely would be the way to get people in the seats, right?
Yeah. And so to do you want to get into the topic at hand?
Yeah, let's do it. So I'm
Okay.
gonna show. I'm gonna show what. Well, this is what we're talking about here. I'm gonna go big for a second here. Uh, so we're talking about the Adams Family here, but then there's the Adams Family Values. That's the one we're really going to be focused on. Sorry for the glare, everybody. Um, I just to give you a little background on me, I'd seen the Adams Family. I grew up on the TV series. Um, when I was a kid, I used to watch it in when it was in syndication. I watched it anytime I was home during the morning and it came on back to back with the Munsters. So I used to watch that every morning. By the time the movie came out, I was an adult. I watched it and then I kind of forgot about it. So I hadn't really watched it since when the Adams Family Values came out. I had never really got around to giving it a proper watch. I had seen bits and pieces of it. So just this past week, I actually watched both films and enjoyed both films. I'm glad about that. And I had actually had this for a couple of years, but so I finally got to break open the plastic, as KB would say, and watch this film. And the film that most speaks to you is Adam's Family Values, the sequel. Before I get into the actual film itself, I do want you. There you go. There you go. I do want you to tell everybody what you did on your channel regarding the film.
Oh, well, it all started with you posting a question or challenge where you asked us what movie meant the most to us, right?
Mhm.
And what clicked in my head was a film that that uh that is just it so I like if I had to pick one movie that sums up the most horrific event in my life, I would have to pick that. And I had heard people say in the past, "Oh, I love this film. Oh, I love this film." But what then occurred to my mind was people say they love it, but have they ever proved it? Have they ever put it to the test? Watched it as try put them to a year's time limit, and repeatedly watched it day after day after day. And I set on that journey. I did not give myself a break, except the time when I felt like, when you reach that point where your voice is getting kind of hoarse and you start to feel like I am getting sick.
Mhm.
I did a video where I watched it like twice in a row, and that became like my fifth and sixth watch. But yeah, I watched it for 125. Sorry, 120. Oh, what is it? I think 129.5 watches in a row, 125 days, and I was determined to show. Ye- and 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 yes, I had received some backlash during it, where I was asked this question: how are you going to be able to get through it? You're going to be sick of it by the time you get through it. But what people didn't understand is I go through night terrors every night, and I wake up from a night terror. And so, if I can handle the basically a film about the teenage version of what the lady that caused me to be this way, what basically I could tell was what she was like as a teenager. My night terrors kept me able to handle it all those times. And I made it to technically 130, but I deemed it 129.5 because it was so close to, like, I had watched it, and I was so like I had watched it on my 129th watch, but then I had a emotional situation that made it to where I needed to watch it again to get me through the emotional situation. So technically, I didn't deem that as 130 because I had watched it so close together. Because I had watched it for the 129th watch, and then I had the emotional situation happen as the day progressed, and then I had to watch it again to calm myself down. So, but what happened? But then, do you want to know what I did recently?
Sure, go for it.
I rewatched my reviews,
Oh, okay.
and I found something interesting about them. About my because I'm saying I rewatched my from day one to, I watched them, and I realized that it was very hard on me to watch it. That I was subjecting myself to it, to a film, and if you watch the reviews, the early reviews, you could tell that my mind was fighting it. That my mind was fighting holding in the details because it was just that was acid. They that my mind was fighting holding in the information of when I was doing the reviews. That even though you could tell I was trying to get the review, my mind was, because I have like PTSD and all that, my mind was trying to protect me from it. So I noticed that there were like pieces missing from the review, but But so all I'm saying is that for anyone that goes back and watches them, you can tell that the more I got into watching it, the more times I watched it, and each 24 hours, you could tell that afterward I was fatigued, I was tired, I was because I had just subjected myself to such a traumatic movie that reminded me of my traumatic past. But as I went on and went on, it got easier and easier to really dig into the details, to notice the differences, to notice like how like you could tell that they were able to get Fester to like look one way and then look happy 1 second and then sad the next, and all that by just giving him, like I said, coffee for one set of for one take of the scene, and then caffeinated for one half, and then decaffeinated for the other. And so that's how Fester always seemed to go from happy to sad so quickly. Was, yes, if you watch all the other films, Christopher Lloyd is kind of he's always just like one emotion through most of his scenes. But with Fester, he is like he can be happy 1 second then sad the next. He can be overjoyed and excited about Debbie, then sad and scared the next. If you really watch it as many times as I have, you can tell they had cut in between and just spliced a caffeinated part of the scene with the decaffeinated. Because if you notice, there's cuts in between. There's parts where he's looking at Debbie, and then when he's the other emotion, you can tell there's a cut, and it's a completely different take. Or the scenes like that, you could tell that we didn't really get to see all of the scenes of at the camp, because Wednesday, you could tell when she's on the bed and she's doing that movement with her hands, she has painted nails. We all know that she never had painted nails at home, and that we don't know what happened of how she was able to get of how they were able to get her to paint, to get them to let her to let them paint her nails. And like there's so many things that I noticed, and there's like I could tell from all that the from all the times that I watched it, that Wednesday never ate the food there. That when everybody was just sleeping or doing the camp activities, she would go out and just like eat natural honey, because in the forest, I mean, think about it. I mean, she was purposely around where the bald eagles were. I mean, to the point where like it didn't phase her one bit when it was shot down, and the camp lady was like, "It's the American bald eagle," and then and like it's all I'm saying is that like, and that I could tell that she never showered with the rest of them, because that she most likely showered around the creek. Like she would know to, when all the girls were sleeping, to go out and search for a creek, because they would have done something. I mean, all the Popkid girls hated her, and they would have done something worse if she would have showered around them. And I could tell that, like with the with the scenes that Christina Ricci did, they probably just really like didn't let her sleep much, because she was basically just like one emotion through most of the film. Like, and but it's such an iconic movie, because it's like you could tell that Wednesday goes through the film seeing that her mother was into was well, wait, do you want me to go into my past, or do you want me to keep talking about the film?
You can keep talking about the film since we're
Okay.
going down that road.
Okay. Um the that that Wednesday had learned that 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 Gomez was not Morticia's first love. That she actually did not love him. It's actually all desire. It's like he's always kissing her arm and and all that, but you never see him kiss her on the lips. And so she had loved before, but Morticia had killed. She knew that love made a person weak, and Wednesday saw Fester be manipulated by Debbie that way, and she had seen how her father was when it came to her mother, and so she knew, like her mother, the way to defeat love to where she was not weak and not weakened by it was to kill love in to kill her first love. And she did that in the end of the movie. And if you notice, that's the only time she's actually happy. The only time she's truly smiling is when she is killing her first love and getting to be as in control of her life as Morticia was. Because Morticia figured out it's easier to be with somebody that desires you rather than somebody that loves you. Keep in mind this was for you know like how like their perspective on life, which the family, like, even if you go back to the bathing suits of the swimming scene, the 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 popular girl is wearing a orange one piece bathing suit, right?
Correct.
It is just a really like you could tell that it's basically a representation of that she is a representation of the orange juice, wake up in the morning, do your routine, and just like the American way. How OJ was really just the normal of the American dream, of every nutritious morning breakfast, whereas she is wearing the colors of black and white, where so basically representing that there are some people that are just that some people that are one way, and the world by for some is seen differently as in black and white. Some people live the American way, the the American and all that, the commercial way, and others like Wednesday, and they see the world in black and white. They don't see it as with all these emotions and things. It's almost like they see it in like logic, and that they see emotions as weakness or something. Because every decision they ever made, like even in the first one, when Fester makes that, when Gomez is going to get is to pull the right book, Fester acts with logic, and it's like, hold on, it's not this book, it's that book. It's not him following love for his brother. It's that he's going with a logic that his mother is not going to need him very much longer after she gets to be completely rich. That's basically just been Tully and his mother doing all that. I mean, she was really bossing him a lot more towards the end of the first film. And then when you get to like in the second film, like with uh like like I said, the black and white, you could tell there's like all the campers really represent one way, and Wednesday and them represent the other. Hence the black and white, the separation. So you have the American dream and the American way versus how it is for some people that just see the world in black and white. Two different ways of thinking, and the separation was always made very clear.
All right.
And
That that
you were saying?
no. Well, I was gonna say that is definitely a Wednesday Adams way of looking at things. That's always the way the character has been presented. Um, so I think Christina Ricci did a fabulous job with that. She played it is deadpan is almost the last word, but really almost the wrong word. Stoic, maybe better. It's very stoic. performance and fit the character perfectly. There is
Mhm.
still, when I watch it, to my mind, and I haven't seen it nearly as much as you have, but watching it, there is still a bit of a wink and a nod to the camera in her performance, even though it is a really stoic one. And I am going to say what's up to Rich, just popped in from AKA Turner Fan 77. What's going on, Rich? Thanks for joining us. Um, yeah, we're talking Adams Family Values. Yeah, so that's a great way to break down Wednesday's outlook on the world and the way she's represented, as opposed to the other campers. Um, so so my question is this, because watching the movie, what struck me more than Wednesday really was the relationship that you talked about a little bit, Debbie and Fester. Um,
May I say one interesting little fact
yeah,
about it?
go ahead.
This isn't a normal fact. Fact. The thing that I had to find out myself by going. I went to the score and I was able to see that the Debbie's and Fester's love song is longer than Wednesday's and her camp boyfriend's love song. And I found it really to be interesting because we all know that true love doesn't take very long. It's very short. Like you fall for them in the quickest amount of time possible, you know. Whereas with Fester and Debbie's, their love their love song on the score, it is is like twice as long. Whereas it's, to me, a representation that Debbie had just really planned all this out, and she wasn't going to have it, like take any quicker than she needed it to. The fact that
Right,
her love song is so much, like almost double the amount of Wednesdays, shows that even with her even with her score song for her scenes with Fester, it was it was not love, it was planned.
mm. Yeah, completely planned, as we find out as the movie goes on, because Debbie indeed turns out to be the villain. Rich has never seen Adam's Family Values. I'll say this, Rich, it's definitely worth a watch. It's a fun movie. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the TV series or if you saw the first movie, just which is just titled Adam's Family. But that's also really fun. I don't think you need to watch that one before you watch Adam's Family Values.
No,
The story doesn't
you
work that
actually
way.
yeah, you actually don't have to, because
Right,
everything is different from the first one. In the first one, Wednesday is wearing different clothing and just everything is different, and Wednesday does not make the personal growth of the tale until the second one. Basically, you just see her get like put in bed, and she asks Fester to kiss her doll, and just it's so. In my opinion, like with me, I have only ever needed to have to have this one, because
hmm
I feel it's not the movie itself, but it's my past that really ties me to this one,
hmm
and I don't know if is it okay for me to lightly get into it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, um, just as a preface for other people, yeah, Rich said he's going to check it out. Yeah, you definitely should check it out. So yeah, like for people who are just joining us, as we just have uh, acres of movies. What's going on? Just joined us. He said hello and she said hello and thanks. How you doing, Stacy? And how is everyone doing? I'm doing well. Monkey, I think, is doing well. And so far, the people that are here in the chat seem to be doing well. So we're doing okay. We're talking Adams Family Values. And for my friends who just got here in the chat, um, or just turned on, so the monkey, this was his favorite movie, and he started this. He did a challenge to himself as a response to a challenge that I made, which was really just asking people what their favorite movie was and what did it mean to them. And he decided to prove that love for his favorite movie, which is Addams Family Values. And he set out on a journey to watch the movie. He set out on a journey to try to do it for a year straight. He wound up with 129 and a half. If you want to know what the half means, you're going to have to go back and watch that. Um, but that means, every day for that many days in a row, he watched the movie. Um, and now the movie touched him because of his past, and I'm going to let him go ahead and go in the direction he wanted to go with that one.
But first, since you brought up how many times I watched it, I will. May I tell you why I stopped?
Yeah.
Because I realized after the 129.5 watches, there was nothing else that I could say about it that I had not already covered. I had covered everything in it that I could possibly see. I was watching it, and it, like, in the beginning ones, I was getting in my beginning watches, like when I was finally able to get to where I could handle it. Like, I was howling like Fester when I was on the toilet. When I would be in a relaxed mental state, I would be singing the theme song in my head. And then I would find that I was singing it aloud. The movie was affecting me in certain ways, but by the time I got to 129.5, I was like, I went to do it again, and then I was like, there's there's nothing I haven't said about this already, and I ended up doing a video where I was like, I had set out to do this for 365 days, but I did not think, it never occurred to me that there was going to come a time when I had covered everything that I saw, everything I noticed, every noise, everything that I could literally talk about, that I could say more than just a few words for, something that I could literally say like paragraphs about, and things that just really stuck out to me. Nothing else was sticking out to me anymore. I realized I was done. I couldn't find anything else to say about it. So it wasn't that I couldn't do it any longer. I could have, but I realized that one thing I did not know about my journey was that there comes a time when there's nothing else to say about the movie. When there's everything's been covered, everything's been talked about, and no matter how much you want to continue, if you do more, you'll just be repeating yourself and things you already said.
Oh, absolutely. That makes total sense. I do have a couple questions for you before you go ahead
Sure.
into your dive. Stacy wants to know: do you enjoy the first movie?
Um, I will
And along
say
along
what?
with that, how many times have you seen the first movie? So both of those questions together.
Okay. Well, buckle up, everybody, because you're not going to expect this. The answer is I've probably seen the first one about mm, 5 times, but only for a different reason. In the beginning of the film, when you see Fester and his, uh, should we call her adopted mother?
Um, yeah, yeah, we
Um,
can do that.
the uh, you see him eating this wonderful dish of like uh, spaghetti and meatballs, and he's just digging into it. He's just eating it. We never got that recipe. We never did. Even after all these years, they never came out with a cookbook. They never came out with the Addams Family, recipe book. So I would watch it for the scenes of Fester eating and scarfing down that meal. Because when you think about it, Fester has the big full head of hair, and he's just like he's scarfing it down. He's wearing that clothing. We don't see him wearing any other of the film. So yes, I watched it for the food, and
Okay. Fair enough. And the next part of that question was, which character do you relate to most or are most fond of?
Okay, this may surprise a lot of you, but I would say Tully because I mean he tries his best. Like Fester always, every time he goes there, if Tully is like, Gomez, we gotta do this. We gotta do the finance. We gotta do the finances. No, no, I don't want to do this fencing with you. But Tully is always he has to do it, and he's always just like he's kind of forced to do the fencing, and he sucks at it, but he always tries, and he always gets kind of pushed to the side, and it's like they only like even the mother only gets interested in Tully when basically Fester just is just kind of beating him up and all that, and Tully only realizes that he's Fester when he has him upside down. He has him completely upside down, and he sees the resemblance. So I can totally relate to Tully because he does his best, and he's great at one thing, but when he tries to do the other, he just sucks at it.
He does. All right, I'm gonna uh, go to Caveman's comment because he just says hello. He's popped in. He says, "Hey there, everyone. Please like and subscribe for these guys. Much appreciated if you do." And he says, "Imagine your hand, as in you guys out there, is thing as you hit the like button." So definitely a Adams Family reference there. Stacy, I see your next question. I'm gonna put a star in it and come back to that question a little bit later. And I'm gonna give my guest the floor because he did want to talk about his past and how it involves the movie.
Okay, so my so in the past, I was not really I was not really the focal point of my parents' life, and a lady noticed this, and uh she was so much this character that her favorite album she would play blaring was this
Okay, I'm gonna go big so everyone can see.
Bug Cherry, and the song she would always play from it blaring at full blast was Crazy Bitch.
Interesting.
And so yeah, it's you could tell that she loved these colors, that these were her favorite. So even before even before your question that you asked about the movies, my she had already loved these colors, and this shows that even from my past, she was so much like this character to begin with. And so what happened was years had passed after my bad past, and I had I had I like saw this thing, and it brought it all back, and it was like because I saw this little thing, and it was like when I watched this thing on Wednesday, uh, it was like I couldn't breathe because it reminded me so much. I was like it was like it was like if any of you have ever watched a movie and was like, this is a specific, like this is a exact replica of how this person in my life grew up. This is how she was, and like throughout the whole series of throughout the entire second movie, from the time Wednesday Adams gets at the camp, she is she is deadly serious. She is, whenever she has to be around the people, everybody else, she drinks poison. My bad lady would keep these containers that looked like grape juice in the fridge for me to drink. But when I would drink it, it it was fabric softener. It was things that would just make me sick to my stomach. She enjoyed seeing me suffer. And she would subject me to just so much, like she would take one of those pointer things and she would use it on my butt when I was naked. But I won't go into specifics. All I can say is they you get welts when someone does that. And all pain, torture, all that thing she enjoyed, she got sexual relief from. And I don't know if you can hear this, but please try to listen. Here, hold on, hold on. Can you hear?
I hear something sound like it's tapping or clicking.
Yeah, it's clicking because she had hurt all of my fingers. So every winter, my fingers hurt so badly because she hurt the bones in every single one of my fingers. So she was all about torture. She was all about pain. There's a part in the towards the end where the antagonist, the cheerleader type, she Wednesday, she puts her on the she puts her she basically gets it to where she's gonna roast her alive, and she puts an apple in her mouth, and you see the look on her face when she lights the match. And there's other parts like where the babysitter is like, "Where's the baby?" And Wednesday says, "Which part?" And at the lake, the cheerleader says, "I'll be the victim." And Wednesday replies, "All your life." And towards the very end, when she's dressed in that outfit like her mother, and he's dressed up like Gomez, um, the boy actually says to her, "What would you do if you met somebody that worshipped you, that did everything you ever wanted, that was basically your own slave?" And she replies, "I would pity him." And that is soon after. That is right before they find the grave, and she's able to scare him to death. But most people would think that it is Thing coming up out of the ground, but it is really Debbie. If you remember earlier in the film, Grandmama put a curse or hex on Debbie when they went to visit her. Do you remember?
Yes.
So she had used that to make it so that when he so what I'm saying is, if you pause it frame by frame and you look at the hand, you will see that it is Debbie's real hand because her fingernails have those gold. Her fingernails are always painted gold, and those, if you look at the fingers, they are not Thing's fingers, they are Debbie's fingers. And so, I always felt when I rewatched it all this time, that after the end of the first one, they brought back Tully because, I mean, you see in the beginning of Addams Family Values that they have a Cabbage Patch doll. How could you really see? Could you really see Lurch going into a Toys R Us and purchasing a Cabbage Patch doll?
Yeah, that would be tough. He
And
would do it, but it would be tough to see. Yes.
and the financing to the camp. They are a rich organization, a rich camp. They would have needed Tully to be able to organize the transfer of the money because they are smart enough to where they would not be like, we're not taking gold. Because if they would have seen the gold that the Adams would have paid with to get them in the camp, they would have treated Wednesday and Pugsley so much better.
Okay.
So Tully would have had to handle the finances. I feel they that they have to that they do something to the people before they kill them, so that they can bring them back to help them in the future. And that Tully was just working in the background, like with the finances and getting the Cabbage Patch doll, because like even the judge's wife from the first one would not have access to a Cabbage Patch doll because you saw she was with Thing. No, no, she was with that furry little creature
Yeah,
all the time, and she
cousin it,
even taught what?
cousin it.
Yes, and she even spoke when they were at the party that that they would that she would love to visit them, but they're never there too long. They're always just they're always away, and then that they just can't make it back. And you could tell that since they showed a child that towards the end that but another interesting thing about the movie is that whenever there's a death, it gets them in the mood. And that is kind of like my bad past because when you think about it, what happens in the end of the first one after Tully and the adopted mother of Fester die? Do you remember what happens?
No, I actually forgot.
She is you um you find out she's knitting the that little baby slipper, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
And then in the beginning of the second one, you see Morticia is doing such a dominating thing because she she calls Gomez quietly and she says, "I have something to tell you. I am having a baby and I'm having it now." Like so, she would have had to hide it from from Gomez for 9 months,
yeah.
and that is a big reason why her and Wednesday feel that lust is more powerful than love because Gomez was so into just kissing her arms and all around her and dancing and doing all the romantic stuff that he never noticed the rest of her. I mean, when you think about it, he doesn't kiss her, he doesn't hug her. They all they do is just all this romantic stuff like dancing around, and you never see them even do like a full hug. So she waits till the last possible second to tell him that she is pregnant. And when they're in the hospital and he asks her how she's doing, is how's the pain? She smiles and she
Yeah,
says excruciating.
yep. And then they ask her if she wants anesthesia, and she
I'll
says
I'll
no.
let you cover that one.
Yes, well, she says no, and she still has that grin on her face, and a real interesting thing. Just diving back into the chat really quick. Our Life in Horror popped in. I hope you're still here, guys. A great channel. I've been watching a lot of their stuff here lately. I think I missed the last live stream or two though. So they've been counting out their collection movie by movie. So that's always interesting. Stacy said, "Sorry for this." So she was listening to some of the things you said that happened to you, and here she asks, "What was the fabric softened apart of something that occurred in the deleted scenes or a real situation?" And we're talking about a real situation here. Um, he said this was movie made for general audiences, not likely made to hold up to major scrutiny. Well, I mean, Monkey found plenty to not necessarily scrutinize, but definitely a lot to pull out of the movie, and he got some interesting takes on it. But go ahead if you wanted to add to that.
Like I will say this, I feel that a scene that was not supposed to be a part of the actual film, but was just like added last minute was the scene where you see the baby fly up in the air, and the and he's right by the plane, and you see the parents of the cheerleader type in the airplane with her daughter right next to them. I feel the studio just got them like last day of shooting and just shot that scene because never ever do they show anybody on an airplane before. They never speak about an airplane. I feel that they were like, this is a kids movie. We can't have the cheerleader type barbecued and have it be like everyone thinks that she's dead. So I think
Mhm.
that it is. I think it's true from what we've seen, because there's no dialogue in that scene. We know from the movie that number one, the parents are a talkative bunch. I mean, they're watching their daughter in that thing, and they're just talking. They're having a whole conversation when they're supposed to be, watching the play. You know, like her parents are not quietive people, and she's not quietive either. But in that split second scene, they're just in the plane sitting like statues, and the father looks at the window, but he doesn't really respond. So I feel they just added that like last minute to let the audience know, yes, we showed you that she was burned at the stake, kind of like, and but we want to show you that she's not dead. So I feel
Yeah,
that, which is the last minute little scene, to be like, we gotta we gotta show, we can't have somebody barbecued to death. So they just,
right.
but yeah.
And I think we answered this question already, but it's variation. Gomez, is that your favorite character? Um, we already talked about Tully.
But but I will say, a lot of you may wonder, how were they able to kill Debbie? She was part of them. But what happened is, that I feel is that the fact that she only messed up when she was trying to execute all of them. And basically, like, when Fester came, basically him telling them that Debbie was, like, when the whole truth came out, it kind of was like clear to all of them that she wasn't Adams anymore, because as we've seen, Adams cannot kill Adams, and that is why only when everyone recognized her as just Debbie and not Fester's wife, not a Adams anymore. When she showed them the this the all those screenshots and stuff of her being a killer, that showed them how different she was from them, and that her thing must read. Well, they just do it because they see things black and white. So by showing them all that her intentions of doing evil things are for a selfish standpoint, which theirs is natural. So you go against organic versus on purpose. Like, how somebody lives their life is different if you do it on purpose versus intentionally. Like, if you
Mhm.
do something because you're just doing it, you your way of life is different if you've planned it out, if you're just doing this for a certain reason. It's not your normal behavior. So so all I'm saying is, and then when she was going to kill them all, that kind of made it so that she definitely was not one of them. And so you have one of the family members, you know being the one to make it so that she kills herself instead. So it's like, if she just would have not tried to kill them all, I think she would have made it. But I think that when she had them all up to the electric things, that's when the universe and the Adams family, whatever, curse or whatever you call that, auto corrected it by having the little baby that didn't know anything that was going on, automatically was just able to, like, break out of his room, go downstairs, and do all of that and hold those cords automatically.
Yeah, so
So,
he was like he was in a Rube Goldberg machine.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. All right, so my question is just to guide it, go a little bit further. So we did all the watches, and as you mentioned, you ran out of things to say about the movie, and that's understandable after so many watches. Um, is the way you feel now at the end of that experience uh, the same? I don't want. I'm guessing it's not the same. Or how has it changed that experience? How has that changed your relationship with the film?
Very good question. My answer is that after watching it 129.5 times, I found I could not. I had to cancel my order of the 4K because I got so used to seeing it on DVD that it was ingrained in my psyche. It was ingrained. I saw my past and the film interconnected in a way that, like, for example, when I got The Labyrinth on 4K, I could see the sets were really fake and all that. Just and I just couldn't. So I'm saying that after all those watches, I just can't watch it on 4K because it's so ingrained in me seeing it on standard definition. I can't bear to watch it in a fake way because it is so close to the truth of my past.
Okay. Okay. That's an interesting answer. I feel that way about certain movies that I don't. For instance, like a movie like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre or even Night of the Living Dead, like we were talking earlier. I don't know that I want it too glossy like a 4K. Right? They should look a certain way, and that's the way I've always seen these
Yeah.
movies. So
Um,
I get it.
and if people wondering during all that and during the during uh during the oh, there's a technical name for it, like programming or whatever you call it. The I can't think of what it's called, but it's like when you're made to when you're dissected mentally and you're made to just be a certain way. There's like during all the alcohol and drugs that I was forced to consume, you the perfect way to describe how my mental state was kind of like being in like this. I saw everything through like if you were on something like this. Like all the lights were extra bright. All the like it. I guess you could say it was such a visual journey. Everything felt just like the pain felt worse. The the colors. The when like at events when the when the people in the when the play partners that I would have to participate with, and with the other women and things, would be like in the body paint and stuff. Everything was just so visually standing out and stuff that it just that it was like just always like this. All it was like, have you ever went to an art exhibit first thing in the morning, or your teacher, and have you ever had a rough night? Then you had to just see and grade people's art project after
Absolutely.
art project.
Yes, absolutely.
It just really blinds your mind in a way that it's so visual you can't think. I mean, don't you agree that when you would be grading those papers, not a single thing, like you had to really just look at them again when you were more awake and when you could think because the visualization just blinded your mind completely.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. And for anybody who's not familiar with the movie he held up to sell, it's a fever dream of a movie, and it's got some crazy visuals in it. Really good movie, but it is definitely a feast for the eyes, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And
So
if you're not in the correct mind frame to watch that movie, it might be a little tough to crack.
so so you helped me realize something. So it
Okay.
could be that the reason why I will not watch it in 4K is because my mind knows that if I have to deal with more um more visual stimulation from the film, seeing it in higher quality, that maybe my mind just cannot handle that.
Mm-hmm.
That it would become too real.
Mm-hmm.
That it would just be too close to home to where it would just trigger me even worse. And as I've said earlier, when I would be watching it and reviewing it, each time when I watched the reviews back, like all these months later, it it would trigger me when I watched it. And so if you watch the reviews, you see that I'm like just really like just like I'm just so exhausted and emotionally drained and just like fatigued and nauseous and just all those emotions. But I'm not thinking about that because I am reviewing the film. But the fact that each time I watched it, I was putting myself through all that again, and it was physically causing my body to react to it. And that's why in every single one of my reviews, I seem like I am sick. I seem like I am just like I drank all night or something. But no, my body was just responding to subject myself to a movie that is so close to the night tears that I have every single night. A movie that is so close to my past, a movie that I could handle the 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 watching it almost 130 times technically, that I was so focused on the goal that it was just really, you could tell that it was really wrecking my body, and it was hard on my mind, and it was just a really hard thing to do, and that is, and so it just, but I'm so used to the pain that I'm like for example, when I'm out and about now, I like who I'm with that is there to protect me will be like, how did you get that bruise, or why does your foot look hurt, and I'll be like, oh, because I don't recognize the pain. I don't yes, in my previous live stream that I was on your channel for the bad Santa. Yes, I could tell that my ass was hurting, but that's different. It was because the scar tissue was being agitated enough because of all the hard use, the because of the strap-ons that her people that were like her would use on me. The scar tissue was getting agitated enough that my ass was really hurting to where I couldn't ignore it any longer. But if it's just something like getting a bruise or like hitting like accidentally like because of my past, my perception is so different. Like I don't notice that I when I go by like a corner, I hit it, but I don't notice that I got a bruise because my body is like, pain is like second nature. It's like any pain that lasts a second or two to get, it doesn't register anymore because my body has been subjected to so much of it. Like I don't recognize that I get bruises. I don't recognize that I have like you know like I went like a month or two wearing shoes that when I finally looked down at my feet, I noticed they were bruised because I had grown out of them. But I didn't notice that because the pain was always second nature. And I didn't notice that my toes were all red and that parts were just really extra sore. I didn't notice that. I can't notice that because of all the pain I was subjected to. It just, pain just feels natural to me nowadays. And and for a film that where she to deal with her pain, uh, um, uh, uh, Wednesday Adams, she drinks poison. I mean, it's it just and and also and also if you're wondering, the the fabric softener was not consumed during the time of use of the torture. It was during the time during like the daytime when she was trying to do other stuff, when she was just trying to plan events and other stuff. It would just get me so fatigued and just so horrible feeling that she could just do what she wanted and not have to worry about me making a movement except dealing with how much pain I was in. The alcohol was to make it so that I could, so that I was still responsive enough to where, like if penetration happened, the facial expressions you make were still there. But like I don't know if you've ever drinking a lot, but when you drink stuff, your expressions are a lot more clear. I've always been told I don't have a poker face. And so when I am in a lot of torture, when I'm in a lot of pain, it is very clear to everybody that I am in complete agony. And I was told in the hospital that I had to spend 9 weeks in, where the normal stay is only 2 weeks. I was there for 9 weeks in the hospital. I was told that one of the reasons why I was picked was because I have such a expressionable face, and that when I display a emotion, I show it so clearly that everybody can tell always the emotion that I am feeling.
Okay.
And all
Um, go ahead.
and also I was a preemie, so I under all this fur, I guess you could say, I already looked kind of feminine because I was a preemie and I did not look my age. I looked younger than I was. So
Okay. Kira has come into the chat. Hey, Kira, what's going on? Glad to see you here. She says sorry she's tuning in late. She'll catch the replay and added that she loves Addams Family Values. So,
mm,
yeah, definitely go ahead and check out the replay. We've been at it for a little while now. So, with all that being said, so my question to you, knowing the not quite anguish, but knowing that it was causing you bodily discomfort to watch the film each day. Will it be a while before you watch it again?
well, technically, I didn't notice that until after I watched it, like all those months later when I watched my reviews back. I didn't notice until then. But I guess you could. So to answer the question as to when I will watch it again, I will say, I will say the original person that told me this was correct. That when I got so one of the first critiques I ever got about when I set out to do this is I was told that I would hate it watching it again, but I think the person meant like I would be tired of it. But the reason why I hate it now, like I love the movie, but I hate the idea of watching it again. And
Mhm.
that is because it has just gotten too close. It has gotten to where like like when I didn't watch it all the time, I was able to see the separation of it. I was able to not be reminded all the time. But since I have been but since it is such a close since watching it all those times, my bad past is more linked with the film. I just I feel that if I were to watch it again, it would cause an even more epic night terror that would maybe lead to a suicidal tendency, if you
Right.
understand.
Yeah. Um, I mean, to be honest, I don't fully understand because I'm not in that situation, but I understand what you're saying. Um, so I would say, yeah, don't be in a rush to subject yourself to that again. Um, I, is there any other last things that you wanted to say about the movie
Yes,
be- before
I
we
do.
start to wrap it up?
Yeah, I will say I was really hurt because 3 months into me doing reviews, that's when the news that it was being released on the 4K hit, and not a single person invited me on to talk about it. I had even done a video for the Rad 9 challenge and submitted it as one of my favorite summer horror films. And yes, it is my number one favorite summer horror film. But and to think that they even later on did a video where they were talking about it and kind of, you know, like all I'm saying is I really felt offended that the one thing that I was passionate about that I could tell was in people's feeds that I was because when every day I'm posting a video like that, it gets in people's feeds. I really felt that I was really being that nobody wanted to converse with me about it. I was that I was just being, that everybody just kept me away from conversations of the movie because in all the 129.5 times I watched it, I got no invitations to talk about it. I got no, it was just a very sad experience that when people knew I was so passionate about it, nobody invited me to talk about it. And I really would have had a lot to say on it even then. So I just feel really hurt that all the times people have been talking about it since then and since the 4K release, since I've been talking about it 3 months before it ever was brought up on 4K. I mean, people really weren't talking about it too much before then, and but then it's like people would mention like, "Oh, it's my favorite film," and I thought the very first thing I thought to myself was, but you weren't talking about it until now, you know. So I'm just saying, I just was hurt because there was so many different times I could have been reached out to when other live streamers were going to be talking about this film. And everybody always says that the community is a tight knit group. But what they don't talk about is that a tight knit group keeps people out. You know, I you know, and I really don't know why I don't know why they don't like me. You know, yes, I don't go out and do those videos and stuff like where I show what I got and video chat and all, like do those vlogs at the stores or whatever. But what people don't understand is because of my situation, because of everything I've been through, I the fact that the police had to rescue me from that situation. I can't show my location. I can't show my local stores that I go and buy things. That's why you never have ever seen me do any out and abouts, because I'm supposed to keep all of that secret. I mean, so even though, yes, I'm not like the whole rest of you, I have always loved movies and I would always love to talk about movies, but I'm never invited to. And that just, that just hurts because, everybody always talks about that everybody can always reach out to every other people, and just that all it takes is to have a general love of movies to become friends with somebody. But they always seem to exclude me from every single type of event when I've shown that I know a thing or two about movies and I have a love for movies, and I would always love to talk about movies, but for the life of me, I always wonder why. What is it about me that people don't like, that just like has my past maybe so much of a um hermit or whatever, that people just don't like me. I just if there could be something that would happen in the future that I would really love to change, is I would love to be considered for anything, like a talk about anything, because I'd be up for it. But it's just like, even like even on Instagram, nobody ever reaches out and talks to me or nothing. I am completely isolated from a community that is known for being so welcoming to just anybody that wants to have a conversation about a movie. So I just, if if anybody would like to leave a comment on this video, just say why. I mean, I would love to know. I would love to know why people don't want to have me on anything or converse with, or even send me a message saying, "Hi, how are you doing?" Like like I spent 2 years and 11 months doing the intros for the KB's live streams, and I honestly thought that people would know that I really paid attention to them and that I was a big fan of them, but but not a single person reached out after any of those. And if anybody was wondering why I stopped helping with those live streams, is because it got to where my work wasn't being recognized, to where, like, the last one I helped with, my intro was just shown on screen. It wasn't read out loud and anything, and I don't know about you, but if I have to look at something for a number of seconds on screen, if it's words, I'm not. It's never on long enough to really read. But also, he had always done the decency of reading it out loud, and it was always loved and stuff. So I'm just saying, I just felt I wasn't being appreciated anymore, and I honestly felt it was the only way that I was helping the community, since not a single one of them was reaching out to me or even wanting to have even the simplest of conversations. Those all those months I was completely not messaged or talked to by anybody. And even to this day, it's I mean, if you noticed, all of my live streams I did was basically with my co-host, and but I still did all those live streams by myself and with the co-host because to be, I still wanted to be part of live streams. So I always did my own because nobody was asking me to be a part of any of theirs. So that's why, if you look, that's why I went from shorts and videos to just live stream after live stream. But yeah, so I'm not saying I'm hating on anybody. I'm just saying that everybody talks about how it's supposed to be a welcoming and tight knit community, but like with when everybody was getting into like the mid evolution and all the other ones, I just feel that when you get into tight knit groups and communities and all that, you just kind of isolate the people that don't really fit into them. And I just I just want to belong to a community that's supposed to be welcoming.
Understood, and I think a lot of people do. Um, Whether we say it or not, I mean, everybody wants to be accepted by other people on some level, right? So that's not unique to you. Kira chimed in. Um, she said exactly. Movies have the power to connect us all through a shared collective experience. I may not know how I feel, but I can find a film that speaks volumes and resonates. She'd also chimed in and said her favorite scene was the rehearsal for the Thanksgiving Day parade. And then she gave you a little bit of love, said we love you, and
Oh,
she
half
said
a
let's
heart,
make it happen.
half a heart.
Have a heart. So you see, I'm sure she's putting up the other half, and she said let's make it happen this year in 2025. Double feature podcast with her twin sister Mika. Um, Another great pair of individuals right there,
Uh,
and
I I don't know what that means. Can you please explain what does "let's make it happen" mean?
I believe she is planning on reaching out to you.
Oh, oh,
I believe
oh,
Kira. If I'm incorrect, let me know.
I wanna address a few things first. May I?
Sure. Let me read this last quote from
Okay, okay,
last comment from Kira. She says we need to be
okay.
better with being present and consistent.
Mm.
Very true. And yeah, go ahead, go for
To everybody watching this, no, I do not get royalties from the movie That Is My Name.
it.
And and no, I do not get royalties from Better Man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I wasn't even thinking about those two movies, but yeah, go ahead, go for it.
And yeah, the so yes, I was never contacted by Stephen King. I was never contacted by saying your screen name is not, is like too close to the name. I am so happy that thing happened all those years ago where we had to change our screen names because as you know, I was always called the 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 monkey. But because of that, when all the names became available, when they made that option where you could change your screen name, my I found my name was not available, so I changed it to the original YouTuber, the monkey.
Right.
And But then every time I would see the commercials, and that would say the monkey, and every time I'd see somebody do a live stream, when they were talking about it, I would always be like, ah, it's like yeah, it's like it it's like my experience was kind of like a horror movie, but no, it didn't involve a monkey with a drum, and no, I didn't have a life like that, like Better Man. So to see me represented, or to see my name, that everybody in every live stream that I was ever in knows me as the monkey, and I've seen the commercials, and you won't believe how I responded.
Okay.
She Hulk is in the thing with my name. Yay!
All right. There were a couple questions from Stacy earlier that
Okay,
I said I was going to come back to, and
okay.
I'm not sure if Stacy is still here or not. I hope you are, Stacy. If not, hope you catch this on the replay. And the first of those questions, it says, "Thanks, Dell. Buckle up. Indeed, this was when you were talking about the first Addams Family movie." And it says, "Opinions on Beverly Hillbillies and SWAT." And said, glad to see us enjoying ourselves and a fun program. Thank you. Beverly Hills and SWAT. I'll give my quick thoughts on those two, and then I'll let you give it. So Beverly Hillbillies. I used to watch the series when I was younger. I was a fan of the series. Really enjoyed it. I never watched the movie. I think there were two movies. I never watched the movie, so I don't really have any opinion on that. SWAT, the TV show, the original TV show, I watched when I was a really little kid, and so I don't really have much recollection of that. I saw the movie that was terrible, but fun in the, I guess, early 2000s, and then my wife is a big fan of the current TV series SWAT. And so I watch that every now and again, and I do have a fun with that. Any thoughts on either of those from you?
Yes, I do. Um, Interesting that this person mentioned that, because after my bad past, there's only been one movie that I cannot watch anymore. I have not watched it since my bad past. I can't watch it. I mean, talk about a bad reaction to it. I just can't. And it is that movie, The Beverly Hillbillies, with Ernest in it, because of Ellie Mae.
Ah, okay.
She always wants to wrestle. And I've done enough wrestling with females that love to cause torture in their disfiguration of how, and I was like I think it was Tim Talks Talkies that did a thing on like his favorite ones, Disney films from the 90s, and as soon as he showed that, I dropped my phone, and then I was like, nope, 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 no. I couldn't.
Okay.
I had not thought about it since, and I just instantly thought of Ellie Mae and her love for wrestling, and I was like, no, no. Mm-mm. But as far as SWAT, interesting that's brought up too, because I um I can handle weapons when it's Deadpool, but just SWAT in itself, like I can only handle the show Blue Bloods, because it's mostly about the people, and it's mostly about the situations, and there's not a highlight on the actual weapons. But yeah, I I can't handle SWAT, but for a different reason that I can't handle the Beverly Hillbillies. So I think it's really interesting that she asked about those movies, because I think maybe she was able to piece together that when it comes to movies about pain and agony, using things, using tools that, like with Ellie Mae, only had to use her body to cause pain, where the others use tools to hurt people and cause death. So
Fair. Okay. She
she
had another
she
one.
she's a smart cookie.
Yeah. Other one says, on the flip side, this was a question for me actually. She said she's seen the Addams Family Values maybe 10 times. How about me? So at the beginning, I did mention that I have only seen it once, and that was just a week ago. So for some reason, I just never got around to that particular movie. And Kira confirmed. She said, "Yes, Del the monkey. We would love to have you join us on this year on
Uh,
the stream. So look out for that." Uh,
yeah. Um,
his
may
Instagram
I?
is in the description. So
Oh,
if
uh,
yeah,
can you please say that again? Because I was talking during it.
I was just saying that your Instagram is in the description for this stream. So, Kira, if you guys want to contact him, and because it's kind of hard to search the monkey on Instagram because 1,000 things come up. So his
Yeah.
actual Instagram is in the description for this stream.
Um, I um, I will say that. Uh, Fun fact: it is illegal to change your name to Monkey. That name is illegal to have your name as.
Really,
Yeah.
never.
Uh, um. I admit I tried to change it to it, but it's illegal to change it to it. Because I was like, that was back when I was doing all the interest for Dell, and then I was like, hey, everyone's always calling me this, so why not change my name to it? But apparently, I found out that's a offensive name, so much so that it is illegal to change your name to it, just like how you can't change your name to Hitler.
Ah,
Yeah, but you mentioned in the past movies that look a certain way, that verse like on high definition, that you said you can't handle if it's on high definition versus the normal version. You mentioned you have a few opinions on that as well, right?
correct.
So my
Mostly for
question,
low budget horror, but go ahead.
so my question on that is, for a film that is really has to do with a lot of expensive sets and fabric backgrounds to make it look like forests, but when it was just really just a fabric thing put across, like with only like 6 feet of 6 feet of space to run by. Do you really think that many people will be able to enjoy the Sound of Music on 4K, when I really feel that movie, seeing it in high definition, will take yourself out of the movie, because it's like in the beginning those are helicopter shots that you see, and there are parts like, I mean, I've always known that that movie was famous for like where you could see the boom mic, and you could just like, there's so many things that if you see it in 4K, that movie alone will be like for example, the one girl that is the oldest daughter, she could not stand the actor that played her father. And I really feel that during those scenes where they're having to sit down and listen to him play the guitar, I really think people will be able to see her face looking kind of pissed at him. So I'm wondering, do you think it's just going to really take people out of the movie? That, like with Labyrinth, when I watched Labyrinth on 4K, it most of the movie took me out because of all, you could tell most of the sets were fake. And let me tell you, there's a movie that there's a part in that movie that uh I I will admit the one part that flustered me so badly in that movie was the David uh, David Bowie's package.
Oh,
Yeah, it's yeah in 4K, that one scene.
a little much.
Yeah, yes. It for anybody wondering, it's the scene where he's singing "Dance Baby Dance." Uh, yes, let, let's just say let's just say that's the one movie that I will go to scene selection if I don't plan on just listening to it.
Got you.
Yeah. My eyes, I could look away.
So for me, I'll say this about a movie like The Sound of Music. I I I think if it would be tougher on first time watchers, people who've never seen the movie before, 'cause you you look at it and you instantly can tell certain things about it, especially knowing the age of the movie. With whereas a lot of people who watch it, I think are willing to let it slide because of the nostalgia involved with a movie like that. And you're you and I and a lot of others like us who are really movie buffs, we might look more critically upon things than a lot of people, especially if nostalgia is involved. So I think a lot of people would let a lot of things slide that are huge fans of the movie. Um, Whereas, like I said, first time watchers might look at them like, "Oh my god, that looks terrible," that kind of thing.
Um, and uh, if if I may ask, what I know this is a little off topic, but what movie do you own the most editions of?
Um, I tend not to keep a lot of editions. I really don't double dip, so there's not that many I have more than one of. But I will say the original Star Wars trilogy. I have the DVDs that have the theatrical cuts on them, and I have them on a Blu-ray, regular Blu-ray, standard edition, because I was just did want to have them on Blu-ray just to have, and then I also have them in Blu-ray Steelbook because I happened to be in a thrift shop and kept bumping into Star Wars Steelbooks for $1. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna grab those. So I think that's it. I think that's the one I have the most copies of is
Um,
those three movies.
After our live stream of that one about that one film that took place during the event that had Hitler in it, the oh, what's that thing called? Uh, the the thing that happens during the Schindler's List.
Oh yeah, yeah, Schindler's List. Uh huh.
The event that happens during it, that I found that after we did that live stream on that film, the the uh that one that 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 you watched because of me.
My memory is bad on this one.
Oh,
I'm
well,
trying to remember
that
now.
took place during that event, and after that I found that I went out and I collected every single different version of The Sound of Music, because The Sound of Music takes place right before the events of
Right.
the movie that we talked about on stream, because that was during it and The Sound of Music takes place right before. So what I did is I only have one copy of the full screen, the widescreen, and the deluxe edition that has a multi-cover cover that when you tilt it back and forth, it has a different discoloration to where it shows like a rainbow.
Okay.
So I will say it's like I found that 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 I just, for some reason, a film before all the chaos really interests me. I mean, we all know about the bad. We all know about what happened during it. But just owning a movie that was showing the happy moments before, I mean, I my happiest moments, I cannot remember past, like all I'm saying is to know that people would have happy moments before a traumatic part in their lives just
Yeah.
really stuck out to me. And to see that people can be so happy before the world is ending, I really wish that I would have been aware of how good my life was before it all changed. And we all can say that the Van Trapp family did know. They knew love. They knew how well they loved each other, the family. They knew they had a good life, and they were aware of every single moment. And I
Yeah.
really wish that I would have been aware of mine before that.
Understood. Um, Before when we get off, I'm gonna have to look up what movie it is you have me watch because I'm drawing a blank right now. Sorry for that.
That's
um,
okay.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it it's in the live stream that you and me swapped movies.
yeah. I just can't remember what the movie was. So, like I said,
Uh,
after this is over, I'm gonna have to go look.
okay.
Yeah.
And if people are wondering, no, I do not own Addams Family Values on Blu-ray either. I only all the 129.5 times I watched it, I only watched it on DVD. And if you're wondering why, the cover, I mean, on the Blu-ray version that you have, the image of what she's wearing is very small, but in this you can see up close what every single one is wearing, and that outfit is the outfit that she wears during the wedding scene and at the end of the film, which is the outfit that's really close to what her mother wore. And I feel that if she was, that like that is pretty much what that bad lady wore. This is the closest to where to. So I'm saying, the cover is pretty close, and it's the largest image of it, but still, it what's you may wonder what's different about it than even the DVD thing is because if you look on this version, you have black and white, the black and white thing in the bottom, the tile is the black and white tile, and you have the curtains right here, and you have the all around like this. So it's like where now, if you were to get the 4K like 2 years into the future, the slipcover is this, but don't you agree? They won't be offering the slipcover all the time.
Yeah, they never do. You know,
But
limited
but
copies on the slips.
yeah, but in this has that image of the slipcover on it. So as long as I always have this version, and look, even on the back, you see the curtains are on it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to say that yes, I only own it on DVD, and that's the only version I'm going to have of it for now on. Like, and
Okay.
yeah.
Fair enough. All right. So I'm getting ready to. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up right here. It's getting late for me. I've got to get ready for tomorrow. And from you, I'm just gonna ask you to let people know where to find you on
Oh,
the great wide web.
um, well, I honestly don't remember my Instagram, but he said he will link it down below. But I am on YouTube, the original YouTuber, the monkey.
All right. Yeah, your Instagram is already in the description, and just from memory, I think it's the monkey from YouTube. I think that's what it is, or it might be the original monkey from YouTube. One or the other. As
Uh,
far as Instagram
I
with underscores between it between each
what
word.
I rem- what I remember is it was the easiest screen name for me to come up with because I came up with my Instagram after I came up with my YouTube.
There you go. All right. So everybody, I'm gonna say, obviously, if you're watching this, you know where to find me here, Del on Movies. You want to find me on Instagram, Del on Movies. You want to find me on Letterboxd, Del on Movies. You can see I got lots and lots of lists out there, including
Um,
lists
uh,
showing what all this is. So you can find
i-
me any of those.
if I may say one thing, when Turner Fan 77 commented, I was reminded of that he was amazing on the Heat Street series, and that if they want to go see him be amazing, they should go and watch the Heat Street series that shows all everybody's wonderful collections, because yeah, all of you guys were rock stars on it, and I that series still brings me happiness to this day.
Yeah, Jacoda, bring it black. Bring it back. All right,
Mm.
I was on it. I was fortunate enough to be on it once, and I was shamed by my fellow collectors because they have some amazing stuff. All right, everybody, that's gonna do it for us. Thank you to my guest, the monkey. Thank you for everybody watching this live. Thank you if you were watching this on the replay. Really appreciate it. Just be on the lookout for the next movie swap or the next video. I know I'm a terrible, inconsistent YouTuber, and hey, life is happening right now. All right, thanks again. Bye bye.